Hello, this is Professor Torsen. In this video, I'm going to go through the questions and answers for Quiz 7. Number 1. The dominant phenotype is always the more common phenotype in a population. This is false. The dominant phenotype simply refers to whether or not that particular allele is dominant to the recessive allele. It has no bearing on whether or not it is the more common phenotype in a population. Number 2, carriers are individuals who are heterozygotes. They have a copy of the recessive allele but display the phenotype of the dominant allele. This is true. Carriers have a copy of the recessive allele that they can pass on to their offspring, but they display the dominant phenotype because they have a copy of the dominant allele. Number 3, X-linked traits tend to be more common in women than in men because women have 2 copies of the X chromosome. This is false. Although women have 2 copies of the X chromosome and men only have 1 copy of the X chromosome, X-linked traits like hemophilia and colorblindness tend to be more common in men than in women because men only have 1 copy of the X chromosome and therefore only need to inherit 1 copy of the recessive allele to have that particular condition. Women, because they have 2 copies of the X chromosome, must inherit 2 recessive alleles in order to have the X-linked recessive trait. Number 4, in genotypes, uppercase letters represent the dominant allele and lowercase letters represent the recessive allele. This is true. As far as the matching terms, gene is a term that we have seen previously this semester. Genes are a set of instructions for a trait. Homozygous is a term that means having 2 copies of the same allele for a gene. So you can be homozygous dominant, meaning that you have 2 copies of the dominant allele, or you can be homozygous recessive, meaning you have 2 copies of the recessive allele. Homologous chromosome is E. Homologous chromosomes are pairs of chromosomes, 1 maternal and 1 paternal. A genotype is an organism's genetic makeup, essentially what alleles they have for a given gene. So a genotype could be homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive, or heterozygous. And speaking of heterozygous, the term heterozygous means having 2 different alleles for a gene. So for example, heterozygous individuals will have a copy of the dominant allele and a copy of the recessive allele. Phenotype refers to the physical appearance or chemical expression of a gene. So the phenotype is what the organism looks like for that particular trait. And finally, the last term, allele, we have seen before, but alleles are different versions of a gene. I hope this video was helpful for you. Thanks for watching. Take care.